I think there's something here. I feel more optimistic about a control priest than I have in literally years. This is the first card that makes me not feel like we're just getting hand-me-downs from the older brother, which is Blood Death Knight, which is ironic because it's younger than Priest in Hearthstone, but that's neither here nor there.
Welcome to episode 537 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, March 12th, 2026, in the evening. Coming to you from Nomergan, Ohio, it's me, Edelweiss. From Northrend, Massachusetts, we have Wicked Good.
Hi.
From Teldrassil, California, we have Megasa.
Hello.
And from all around the world, we have you, dear listeners. This week's episode is brought to you by our producers, Number Theory, Kresh, Beef Squatch, David P., Jeremy T., Bottle Caps, Grumpy Monk, The Burger Club, Kirk Regan, May, NY Kiwi, Spine, and by our patrons of the week, Lil Gravy and Wash in the Wind. You can go to patreon.com/coinconcede to get perks like a thank you at the top of the show, bonus post-show content, early access to new episodes, and help support the show in the process. If you would like to support the show but cannot do so monetarily, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast feed of choice, as it always helps other people find the show. So, Life and Ladder, how's everyone doing? Which, I mean to say, how's everyone's tavern brawls going?
Well, I haven't had as much time to play as I would like, but my very first tavern brawl I went 6-0, so that was exciting. I opened Wickerfang. This was very good. For those who didn't play right away on Tuesday, initially there was a problem where if you had a bundle, it didn't give you the extra legendaries that come with it. That should be fixed now. But I did just open Wickerfang, the Druid legendary, and so I was thrilled with that. And then I realized when I went to the deck building screen that Greybow is still legal for the brawl, even though he won't be in standard come rotation. So he won me a few games, let's just say that. He is very difficult to remove when you keep creating things behind him. I did have one game that I should have lost, but clearly this person hadn't been playing against Greybow in a while, which, who has? So they misdid their trades and left the thing with Greybow up. So I brought it back again. And then I still should have died because I had 2 health and they played Marrow Manipulator. But all 5 shots did not hit face somehow. So I won that game and got my pretty 6-0 card back. I have some screenshots of absolutely disgusting boards. I'm actually liking the 2-mana spell that gives +1/+1 for each other minion on board, just because there's so many ways to make large boards and then it's essentially charge damage. But the Cub, I think I mentioned this last week from Theory Crafting, the 1-mana 1/2 Cub that gets +1/+1 whenever you finish spending your mana, can really, even without a Mirdrasil, he can get real big real fast, and if people can't deal with him, I face this as the opponent too in a mirror, then he just wins you the game. So yeah, I had a turn 4 board where I had 14 power or something, and they were at 5. I have a lot of screenshots. I won't just bore people with recounting the screenshots. However, it has gone not near. I haven't had as much success with. Definitely still had success with it since then, but the meta has shifted. People have opened more cards. There's more control now in the Tavern Brawl meta. I'd say at first it was just Frost Decays and other aggressive strategies. And now there's Blood Death Knights, foreshadowing, and warriors with control tools. There was even a warlock. I felt a little bad once I won because this was clearly somebody who doesn't have a large collection, because they were playing a warlock that was 95% core cards. But I was not prepared for the Doomsayer on 2, and that did work for them, actually. So it was closer than I would have liked, even though I then felt a little bad whenever I run into in a brawl somebody who just does not have much of a collection. I'm ugh, that's rough that we got paired. But I don't feel bad enough to not win the game. So if I can, and every once in a while I have lost, right? Every once in a while you do lose because you're not sure what you're facing. I haven't tried anything else quite yet. I kind of made a burn mage, but I'm not sure how well it'll do at this point. I got open Nosdormu, but like nothing else really that works with end of turn. I feel like that'll do better on day one.
Yeah, it's not. I also got Nosdormu and I tried that for my first one, and it was just like, there's probably something here when you have Gelbin, but without Gelbin and having more auras, or maybe not Gelbin, but like there's enough stuff there that it felt like it was missing, and also the meta was so aggressive.
Yeah.
That like the end of turn stuff does take a little while to get going. It's very much a mid-range deck, and you do not have time to be a mid-range deck when you're getting smorked down by Unholy DKs and Frost DKs. So I abandoned that experiment pretty quickly. But yeah, I think there might be something there, but not in this meta. It's too fast for the most part.
Yeah. So I'll probably play a little bit of the Franken meta. Franken meta is when, for anyone who's not familiar with the term, is when the the unnerfs happen for cards that are rotating to wild the week before the expansion comes out and rotation happens. So there's lots of stuff going on there. I did discover, because I needed to play a few ranked games for a quest, that Discover Hunter is still perfectly fine in the Franken meta. But in World 8 has been posting lots of lists in our Discord, which I appreciate, for anybody who wants to do a last hurrah on the decks that were nerfed like in the past year, many of the decks that were nerfed in the past year. So I'll probably do a little bit of that while I wait for day one.
But PSA, if you get Legend before the new set comes out, you will not get the new Legend card back. So just if you're timing when you're going to get to Legend, you will probably get there next month. So, but anyway, just be aware of that if you are planning on trying to grind out through the Franken meta. It's not a bug. That's how it's designed.
But then it'll be there for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I like I said, I got Nosdormu early. I tried it. It did not go well. Before my bundle legendaries arrived, the other one was like, I don't even remember what the hell, the Warlock legendary that cares about discarding cards. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not a thing that I'm doing. So I did get Alakir. So I eventually landed on Shaman. And it took me a couple runs to get the hang of it, because this is probably one of the most positioning, one of the decks that cares the most about positioning since, like, I don't know, Gadget Sand Aggro Shaman.
Just ballpark 5 years.
Yeah, like since like Direwolf Alpha was meta. Like,
okay, not that, because that would be like 8 years.
Yeah.
But
okay. But I mean, when Flame Tongue Totem was like a thing, it would be more, like that was how much positioning matters. But this really matters, because this is, so Alakir, if you don't remember, his thing is that it makes the soldiers or the appendages that give adjacent minions +1 attack. So you're running things like, one of them will actually give you 2/1/1 elementals with rush. There's another one or there's also like Voltaic Burst, which is just a 1-mana spell, summon 2/1/1 sparks with rush and overload. So the thing that makes this deck a little bit challenging is we're both managing positioning and we're managing overload in the same deck. And that's a lot to keep in your head. And it took me a couple of games, really a couple of runs, honestly, to realize that I was occasionally locking myself out. I was playing the minions on the wrong side, because the spell Ritual of Power will always summon the soldier all the way on the right. Skywall Sentinel will summon it to the right of where you play the minion. Same thing with Envoy at the end. So you need to be thinking really carefully about where you want the soldier to spawn and what you want to be buffing and what order you want to be trading things off in order to manage the attack. And that just, it's a bunch of games of feeling like an idiot until you get it, just because it is so easy to misplay. And I lost a bunch of games because I just like gave up damage that I should have had. But once you get the hang of it, it's really good. And then like, you get to play like there's also like Stormbinder, which is the 4-mana 7/7 that overloads you 3, but when it dies, it unlocks your mana crystals. That it's basically a guessing game of whether you think that's going to live through your next turn or whether your opponent's going to clear it. Because if they clear it, no harm, no foul. right? Like you don't have any overload. But if you plan your turn around, oh, they're going to clear it, and then they don't, and then you have 2 mana left over. That's a sad thing if you're not. I mean, you do have a 7/7, so it's probably not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, like instant multiverse, which is the 6 mana spell that summons 12 mana worth of minions. Yeah, that card's real good. I've got a Nagram off that a couple times, and that feels pretty good. So I got a bunch of six win runs with that, and then finally I opened up enough packs to unpack an Onyxia. And then I said, Ed'll, give me your Blood DK list. So I did end up having to adjust tactics a little bit, but that I don't know how that's going to feel when Vampiric Blood and Corpse Explosion are not legal in Standard. But boy, howdy, am I enjoying it when they are. Because that's real gross when you get to add a whole bunch of max life with Vampiric Blood, and you have access to Corpse Explosion. I don't know what clears it's going to have when Corpse Explosion goes away, because like the 6 mana Herald spell that does 4 to the board is good, but probably not good enough, especially because there are a bunch of different effects that make minions when your minions die. So I'm not sure what we're going to do there, but it sure does feel real good right now. I've been controlling out a bunch of people and just like attritioning them out, and then eventually I get Deathwing down and I get to swing for 5 and just kind of end the game naturally. But and being able to, I won't steal all of Edel's thunder because I know she's going to talk about that ad nauseum. But yeah, it felt real good, and it felt like a proper control deck, which I haven't felt like in quite a while. Which helps that most of my opponents are playing like pure aggro, so there is actually an attrition game plan a lot of the time.
Yeah. I've got that My Chemical Romance song on the mind. I gave you blood.
I thought it was just I'm not okay, I promise, but okay, that also works.
Oh, this is like a short one at the
Very
end
good.
of the Black Parade album. Yeah. I mean, there's more to it than just that refrain, but yeah, Triple Blood in the Brawl has been great. I don't think it'll actually be Triple Blood outside of the Tavern Brawl, because there's no incentive to be triple out, like once this actually hits Standard, because the only Triple Blood card is going to be, I forget his name, but the 7-drop that does
the
3
one
of them.
that does 3 damage. Yeah,
Mograine, right? And maybe that's its own deck if you're going to do that.
Yeah, you don't really need that. I mean, Deathwing's going to is effectively going to give you more damage than that just by playing Deathwing, I think. Like if you're just going to go face with the,
I mean, you want to
attack.
double it, right? You want to Deos Mograine, right? So that you're getting 6 damage every turn. And on the turn that you do that, the end of turn thing happens twice, so it's 12. But yeah, I don't know that will be good enough, particularly against this Onyxia deck, because it was brought to my attention through facing this that manipulated manifest. I forget what it is. Manifest manipulation.
Memoriam Manifest.
Memoriam Manifest. There we go. Resurrects your highest cost undead, which previously, we'd done with Bonsomdi, and is very, very easy to just do with Onyxia because there's not really undead that cost more than her. And when you resurrect a Colossus, it comes back with both appendages, and those appendages are not battle cries. It's just that you get the things again. And so that means that you have a lot more incentive to just play Onyxia on 9. You still want to have the 4 drops, not the 2s, right? But that's usually not hard by turn 9. And as soon as you've done that, it's a good stabilization turn. It's a big board. You have no trouble usually with corpses by that point. And then at any point later on, you can play the resurrection spell to bring Onyxia back and have 6 mana left over to maybe play another Herald card, maybe, use the Deathwing hero power, or if you've got a weapon equipped, because if you hit a minion with Nyxia up, you will gain the life instead. Feels amazing to hit like an Abyssian or a Deathwing 12/12 and just gain the 12 instead. So there's a lot of crazy things you can do. I feel like the 4-drop pool, at least in the Brawl, is also just kind of nuts. And so yeah, as long as you're and crucially, outside of the Brawl, like once this actually hits, you will no longer have to deal with Octosari in the 8-drop pool, which is a dead hit. So yeah, it has felt pretty good. I have not failed to get 6 wins with Blood Decay in the Tavern Brawl, so it's been over 50% of my runs. I've gotten a lot of 6s in general. I think I only got to 4 with Brogue, and I had a mage run that was my first mage run. I got first or second, I got to 6, and then with an earlier unrefined list, maybe just 4, and then later on, once the Control Warriors had hit, only 2, because that's a rough one. Unleash the Crocodile, not fun. And I don't have Caligos, so it was a slightly underpowered version of the mage. But yeah, tried a bunch of stuff. I was a little annoyed because I intended to give my codes to a friend and then just get what I assume will be a signature bundle of the Herald Colossi. And then I kind of broke and was like, I want to have cards to play in the Brawl, and proceeded to open only Herald Colossi. From now, my pulls were insane. I opened Ultraxian, Arisen Nyxia, Deathwing, Marithra the Dream, Signature Magma, Golden Alexstrasza, Guardian of Life. I got from packs later on the Black Blood, Golden Sinestra.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
Cho'Gall Mastermind, Ragnaros the Great Fire. I got a signature Commander Geddon from packs that I won.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know how many packs I opened with just rares in them?
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But it was like laughing at me because I'm like, well, presumably all the Herald, I could be wrong, but if they do a bundle in the vein of the quests bundle, where it was like all the signature quests, which I would expect they would do a bundle of all the signature Herald legendaries. I have most of them now. Like I'm only missing the Demon Hunter and the Shaman. and I'm missing in my like regular collection wise Nespira, however you say that, Wickerfang, Volcanos and Calic, Chromatus and Nosdormu.
I got
Isarath,
Synchromatus, and I was annoyed because
Morchuk.
I feel like I'm never gonna play it.
Yeah. Again, like there's a bunch that I was interested in, and I'm like, surely I'll get some of these. Nope, only Herald legendaries. Just it was absurd. I think everyone got granted Abyssian, right, from watching stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen one come in for me.
I don't think I've seen Abyssian come in.
Maybe I did open Abyssian, and that's gonna be.
Yeah, so there's gonna be an event, I think. So it wasn't supposed to be openable in packs, but it has been. So they're gonna add another legendary for everyone to the reward, just a random legendary. So it is still kind of unlucky to open Abyssian because you didn't get a different legendary, but everyone's gonna get an extra legendary.
And it was unlucky to open Deathwing as well because.
Yeah.
Deathwing is at least granted for the Brawl.
Yeah, I mean that at least you still get to keep that. Like you're still gonna need it. Like I did get a golden Deathwing in one of my bundles,
that's
the
nice.
gifted ones, and that's pretty good. And I got it. I did get a signature Black Blood, so at least it was a priest card. It's not the one I wanted, but it's the one I deserve.
I think Black Blood's going to be good.
It does.
Yeah.
It does represent my cold black heart, so that is fair, I suppose.
And like, I don't know if Alexstrasza, Guardian of Life, is going to actually see like intentional play in priest. I do think it would be absolutely hilarious to end up picking up Alexstrasza, Guardian of Life from like the random dragons from Deathwing.
Oh, I did. It was not very funny for me.
No. Like once we're in the standard part and I'm running End Time Murazond because it restores you to full life.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That, I mean, because I was at like 60 and I'm like, I'm never playing this because I'm not getting back to 60. Like, not easily. Not after, not when both my Onyxias are dead already. Like, that's not happening.
I think I was at low enough life because it was a long mirror that I was able to play both of them and for healing. But yeah, it's my pulls were objectively absurd quality wise. It just was the wrong ones for my intended purchasing.
Well,
for the future.
Now you know how I felt every time I opened a rogue signature. Every single time for consecutive sets. I'm not still bitter.
I was opening the priest ones during that time, so you know what? I think we're square.
Well, I did get Sif that one time. Yeah, that I'm and you've finally gotten over that, I guess, which is nice. But you know.
But anyway,
we did see each other in person, and you could have murdered me for my Sif, and I wouldn't have actually understood. But you know, what are you going to do?
Still one of the best looking signatures.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. At any rate, Blood Decay really, really good in the brawl, and truly, like when you can resurrect Onyxia, I don't even know what my max life was a bunch of the time. I might have cracked 100 at some point in like one of the longer matchups, and I'm just like, why are you here? I don't.
One PSA for Onyxia: if you have, let's say you get 8 drops from her and you have 7 life, you actually cannot play them even while she's out because it seems like on the back end what it's doing is you pay the life and then gain it double back or something. But because it's a pay life effect, even though it's healing you, ultimately you can't play it. I don't know that that's a bug, but it does seem like something that, even though I hate Blood Decay and want it to be bad, it does seem like something that I feel like is counterintuitive and feels bad enough that they might change that. But I don't know that it's a bug per se. But just for now, be aware if you are playing that card that if you're really low health, Onyxia may not actually help.
Yeah, and speaking as someone who knew about that interaction going into playing Blood Decay, was at 1 life and played Onyxia thinking it was going to save me and didn't. And I knew, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm dumb. I literally just blanked on it because it is non-intuitive. I wouldn't be surprised now that I've actually done that, like full on knowing what was going to happen and did it anyway. I think they may actually change the behavior just because it is kind of non-intuitive, but you know, but be aware of that. We do have some news, and then we're going to talk more about the cards in the set because we're going to have our superlatives for this set, which is where we talk about the cards that we want to talk about and not just the cards that were revealed after we've had some chance to play with them or think about them or opine for them. So, but a little bit of news first, and then we will get to that.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
All right, so we do have patch notes from patch 35.0. A lot of this we already know. We're not going to go through a lot of it. You will have gotten your signature Ysera, your signature Endbringer Umbra if you've collected enough cards from those sets in order to claim the signatures. There are deck recipe updates. There's a pre-release Tavern Brawl. Who could have guessed? And we talked about the achievements and the card pool last week. So a lot of this is known. The balance changes for the cards that were going to be sticking around were known. And even the ones that were wild focused that were reverted, I think we had this list. We just didn't have it in the blog post. But you can go look through that here. I think the ones that there's a few, and it details the ones that are not getting fully reverted, like Chia Drake. The Year of the Scarab's going to start on March 17th when Cataclysm launches. That's when we're going to have rotation. And that is when, once you get Legend, and that after March 17th, you will be eligible for the new Legend card back. Arena is going to start a new season. This will be a fully curated card pool. So sometimes they do full sets and sometimes they do curated card pools. And this is going to be more of a curated card pool. That's available in the client now. So if you want to play Arena with the new cards, you can do that. For the current season, cards with the Herald mechanic will get an occurrence bonus, but you'll be limited to 2 copies in the initial draft. So that seems fair. There's going to be a new hero skin for getting 12 runs in Underground. Good freaking luck. But there are going to be new Arena achievements. These are 2-part achievements. The part 1 is apparently seems to always be opening X numbers of packs, which will either be through a bundle or from Arena rewards. And then after that, for each one of those, so it's 5 packs, 10 packs, 20 packs, 35 packs, and 50 packs. And then for part 2, after you've done that, if you finish an Underground run with 6+ wins, you'll get the achievement, which comes with 2 tavern tickets. So you'll get a free run. So that's pretty cool. Again, Underground's real hard. So,
Yep.
Good luck, but you can do that. There will be a new Tavern Brawl, which will be deck recipes. That'll be the 17th to the 25th. There's going to be a new Tavern Brawl starting on April 1st. That's April Fool's Day. Called a Totally Normal Game of Hearthstone ? From April 1st to 8th, play a totally normal game of Hearthstone. After you play a card, who knows what will happen? And then from the 8th to the 15th, there's going to be Splendiferous Showdown, so you're going to be able to play Whizbang decks. See, that is the appropriate place to play Whizbang decks and not on Ladder Against Me. So we're going to have some additional events. I don't remember if we talked about these or not, but we're going to talk about them quickly. So from March 17th to April 7th, there will be an event where Thrall needs your help defending the tavern from Deathwing's assault on Azeroth. You're going to be able to earn 6 Cataclysm card packs, 6 across the Timeways card backs, 2 golden across the Timeways card backs, and a Dragon Scarred Thrall hero skin for Shaman. Follow that, there will be a 1-week event called Into the Dragon's Fire, where you'll be able to earn 2 random Cataclysm card commons, 2 random Cataclysm rares, 2 random Cataclysm epics, and then a Cataclysm card pack. They're also expanding the card duplicate reroll system to accommodate duplicate legendary signatures. So if you somehow acquire, I guess the somehow would probably be you bought the signature bundle is probably the answer, because the odds of this are minuscule to just open up, though it can happen. But if you do happen to get a duplicate legendary signature card, you'll have the option to re-roll it into a golden legendary from the same set. So I think before you were just kind of stuck with them and you could dust it, but that was it. So now you'll be able to re-roll those.
I think maybe it's like if you I opened the signature Chromatis. I don't generally buy signature bundles, but say they had a signature bundle of all the Dragonflight signatures, and I bought that. Now I have 2 signature Chromatises. Yeah. I could re-roll one. That would feel better than feeling like, oh, I'm having to pay for a signature Chromatis when I already have one. So yeah,
I think that's the way it would have to happen, because there's still duplicate protection on the signatures. So you would have to. I mean, I guess you could be like Fudgy the Whale and buy enough packs to get all the signatures and then open a duplicate. But more likely, you opened it and then there's some sort of a bundle that has multiple signatures, and one of them happens to be one that you already own. There's going to be free packs in the shop. There's going to be 3 weeks from March 24th through April 14th, 1 a week. There's going to be 1 golden Cataclysm pack the first week, 1 regular Cataclysm pack the second week, and a Cataclysm pack the third week. So you're going to have to go into the shop and click on it, but then you'll just get the pack for free. And then there's going to be some additional bundles with Diamond Duality Ajara, Diamond Metamorphosis Illidan, Diamond, and both of them in a mega bundle, and then a Golden Legend of Time Waste bundle that's going to be in the shop as well. There's some Darkmoon Faire stuff. We're not doing it. You can get the Deathwing skin that they showed on the reveal stream with Kibler. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And if you are willing to spend, again, I think it's just worth saying this. It's a really cool skin. It absolutely is. And you're going to be able to use it it's a diamond card, right? So you'll be able to use it for the next 2 years whenever you're...
I mean, you can use the skin for however long.
You can use the skin however long. And if you're playing Deathwing, even if you're not using the skin, it'll turn you into that Deathwing when you play it.
If you're playing signature Deathwing. So there's 2 ways to have this Deathwing hero. You can either get the Deathwing hero through the Darkmoon Faire, either because you're exceptionally lucky or because you pay the whole thing. You can now see the odds in the fair itself, so definitely do that if you're thinking about it. But basically expect to pay the full thing, most likely. Or if you have a signature Deathwing and you play it, then it will turn you into this. I'm not quite sure how we get a signature Deathwing, if that's also through the fair or not.
But it is still going to be, it's going to be zero. I mean, it's not in there yet because it's still Darkmoon Yogg Saron, but it is going to be 0.1%, and it's going to cost you upwards of $150. If you are okay with, I mean, you're getting more than that, probably, because you're doing all 10 pulls, and you're getting that. Like, look at it as a bundle. If you are okay with spending $150+ for everything that's in the bundle, go ahead and do it. If you're going to try to pull it, you're very unlikely to get it before the last pull. That's just the way the odds work. I mean, it will happen because it's called probability, not certainty, but you will sometimes just end up spending that, and you should be okay with having to spend all that money if that's what you're going to do.
And I will say, of ones to be looked at as a full bundle, this looks like one of the cooler ones. It's got Decimation. It's got all the warrior stuff. So if you love warrior, right? Like, I was bummed not to be able to get the leeches one, right? Not to be able to just get the signature leech cards, rather, because they were in Darkmoon. Well, if you're a big warrior fan, this has the Sig Rag and the signature heralds and the signature decimates.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's a lot of money to spend on something that is going to be tied to your account forever and you can't get any value back from. So, just be aware of that. We do have some bug fixes. There's nothing really too impactful for gameplay, I don't think. Chrono Chiller Awakening from Dornit could cause Rogue's Imbue skill to malfunction. I'd call that a feature, but that's just me. Fixed an issue where Illusory Greenwing's illusion could disappear after being copied by Elise's location. So, that could be something that would be kind of upsetting. The cost of Ceaseless Expanse could increase when opponent used Rewind from the Blessing of the Bronze Hero power. That feels like rogue BS. Yeah, that sounds about on par. I'm not biased or anything, but anyway, so you can go through these. There's not really too much. You can, when you get a mythic skin, you now can choose to quick equip it to either class. When that's the screen that comes up, that will tell that you can set it as a favorite. Now you can put it for either class or presumably both. Yeah, and that's it. We did have also a known issue, which is more of like a ban for the Tavern Brawl. That happened on, I believe it was Wednesday that this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was in the middle of Death Knight Winter, where everything was Frost Death Knight. So it started out with everything being on Holy Death Knight, then people figured out the Frost Death Knight and I've seen more Frostworm's Furies in the past week. It was like 2022 all over again, or 2023, whatever year Death Knight came out. But yeah, it felt like a throwback. But they did ban from the Tavern Brawl Chilled Fallen Baron, Remnant of Rage, Frostworm's Fury, Stitch Giant, Frost Strike, and Hematurge. So they mostly hit Frost, but they hit all three of the aggressive Death Knight archetypes pretty evenly. That has not stopped Death Knight from being a thing. They still have plenty of gas in the tank, but it feels a little bit more fair than it did when you were just. I had enough games where I was just setting up a board of Shaman and got frozen for 2 turns, and it was not a fun experience.
And then hopefully by the time people are listening to this should be resolved. But there's been an issue with playing the pre-release Tavern Brawl on mobile.
It is resolved. I saw Blister Guy post, and he posted from his phone, so that's fixed now. So if you were not doing the Tavern Brawl because you couldn't do it on mobile, you now can. It is fixed.
Great. I know Blister Guy was unhappy because he couldn't play when he was away from home.
Yeah.
And really wanted to play the pre-release Tavern Brawl. So if that's you, give it another try.
Yeah. And there is also an issue with Time Looper Toki where she's not granting another copy of her after playing the spells. So if you're planning on playing Toki Mage in Standard, you may just want to give it a minute until they fix that. And also, they somehow managed to break the last puzzle in the Boomsday Project Secret Lab. So if you don't know what that is, that's fine. If you do know what that is, go schedule your colonoscopy, I guess. But so anyway, that's it for the news. But let's talk enough about what's going to happen and talk about things that we are excited to play with.
All right, so we are doing our card superlatives for Cataclysm. As a reminder, our categories are card you can't wait to play with, card you're scared of, card you want to be good but isn't, card you think is underrated, and card you just wanted to talk about. Eagle-eared listeners may notice that card you think is underrated used to be card you think is over or underrated. We don't think any of us have done an overrated card in like 3 years. So, which is the whole time I've been here. Maybe I did one. Therefore, we've just changed the name to reflect reality. So, we will start with card that you can't wait to play with. I am talking, so I will go first. And I chose Confront the Tolvir, which is a hunter 3-mana spell. Replay each 1-cost card you've played this game, targeting enemies if possible. This, I haven't opened it, so I haven't been able to play with it in the pre-release. And I don't even know if we quite have the card pool in the pre-release because I haven't looked to build it. But this was super fun in theory crafting, and I am looking forward to playing this with Neri and playing it just to get a full board back, or trying to do that wacky combo of Sidisi's that we mentioned last week, seeing if we can do burn with it, seeing if we can just make boards with it. I don't know. It's a wacky card. It's really strong. And all the hunters that I experimented with or saw people experiment with on theory crafting look like my kind of deck. Both the super aggressive 1-drops ones and the like dragony ones. So, yep, that's it. Can't wait to play with it. Haven't had a chance to play with it except theory crafting yet. Yeah, I will be confronting people, not just the Tolvir, just anybody any worthy opponent on ladder.
Yeah, I mean, they also have ways. I mean, you also have ways to get extra 1-cost cards from other classes too. So we definitely ran into some people who deja vu'd us in theory crafting, and then got to replay that and get more stuff and just get more cards out of it. So just getting tracking, getting deja vu is just like extra draw off of that on top of whatever else you're doing.
Yeah, having the trackings in it is really helpful. You could do a little bit of damage. You can it might be hard to build this with a burn now that we no longer have like Mixologist, we no longer have Grifta.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But we can still do a lot of stuff with this. It makes you it's 3 mana, make you a board, draw you some cards, do a little damage. Like, that's fine. That's pretty good.
I mean, for 3 mana, that should be what you're expecting, right? So yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't be expecting like deal 20 damage to their face. If that's what's happening, this will get nerfed. So yeah, I think it'll be a fun class, and I'll be keeping an eye on what Sidisi's deck lists are, of course, because he'll be trying out every single hunter possible. That's what you do when you're a class main. But I just flit around to whatever deck looks interesting to me. However, Edelweiss, I'm also excited to play with your card that you picked.
So I initially was like, oh, well, obviously I need to do Arisen Onyxia. And then I realized, you know what? I've actually played a considerable amount of Arisen Onyxia in the pre-release brawl. Maybe I don't need to do that. So instead, I have opted for Nozdormu Bronze Aspect, because that one just is also very cool, and I have not really gotten to play it at all. I haven't opened it, so I haven't gotten to try it in the pre-release brawl. Did do it a little bit in theory crafting, but I'll be curious to see how it goes. Whatever the new meta ends up shaping up to be. It could have some weaknesses with aggro. I think it is going to have to build a very particular way, but the scaling potential is substantial. So just curious to see how that ends up playing out.
Seems like something that could punish greed some, because it just is so hard to deal with it once it gets rolling.
Oh, it's definitely the kind of thing where it's like you might roll over to aggro, but its boards are so overwhelming that you could just face roll slower decks.
Yeah, especially with Divine Shield too. If there's anything that's damage based, it's going to be really hard to get rid of it.
It's so hard, yeah.
I mean, Cease to Exist might have its time to shine. Who knows if this becomes a thing, because Cease to Exist might at least takes care of one of them. So
yeah. Shadow Word Ruin will still be, like, he starts as a 4/4, but if he starts buffing everybody, Shadow Word Ruin, if you're playing Priest. I think it'll be interesting to see how we build this. On the one hand, there's kind of some clear, like, it's end of turn, we want to put in some of the end of turn stuff, but there's a little too much of that to just throw in all of it, right?
Yeah.
I think there are some decisions to be made in terms of how to build it that I think there might be a little bit of different builds, see how it shakes out in the first couple
I think
weeks.
the real thing is, like, how do you get Nozdormu down with a board being slower? I think that's going to be the real challenge that you need to solve with that deck, because, like, you want to be able to get Nozdormu down on 5 to be able to start going, ideally with, like, the aura that doubles your end of turn stuff, but you want him to come down with a board already there so he can buff it. And I think as slow as this deck can be, because you're taking turn 3 maybe to turn 3 or 4 probably to play the aura before he comes down. So, like, how do you get a board there? I think that's going to be the challenge that you need to solve, especially if this meta is faster.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential with acceleration aura, right? You sort of get 2 5 turns, so maybe your first 5 is to drop chronological aura, your second 5 is to drop Nozdormu, or you sort of save for Nozdormu plus the Righteous Protector.
Yeah. Or even, like, the 1-drop who gives you a dragon might be fine just alongside him, even if you're, like, it's still going to be, like, what, a 4/4 with Divine Shield. 4/6 with Divine Shield.
If you've got the doubling, then you have a lot more options, right?
Yeah.
But without the doubling, Righteous Protector is nice because
it's already got Divine Shield.
Right. So it becomes a 4/4 even with no doubling. Nozdormu gives himself Divine Shield, and that's, like, pretty respectable.
Yeah.
And I think, we'll see how much, like, do you really need to get the Sand Fury aura down first? Like, I'm not sure we do, but it might also depend on the rest of your hand, etc.
Yeah. You've also got the weapon that you can break the turn that you play Nozdormu, so you might not need the aura down. You might just be able to get the weapon down, swing once, hold the weapon, break it when Nozdormu's down.
And it'll also partly depend on what happens on games when you don't draw him, right? It needs to work well enough if you just have Sand Fury aura or stuff like that. So, yeah, because we can't tutor him.
Yeah. Or you just build it so your curve tops out at 5 with Nosdormu and Talon, which is potentially, it's not a crazy idea. I don't know.
guess.
I mean, you do have Xavius too, right? So you do have multiple ways to. We don't have Xavius in the Tavern Brawl, but you do have Xavius in Standard. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Wicked, I was not surprised by your choice.
No. This is like the least surprising choice in the history of choices. Because like I'm old. I know what I like, and I like what I know. So Cleansing Cleric. It's a 4-mana 4/5 Battlecry. Your healing effects restore 2 more health this game. I got one of I forgot to mention this. I did get one of these in my bundle, and I made a disastrous decision to try this in the Tavern Brawl, which is don't, because you really need Medivh to be, doubling the healing in order to really have any hope of a win con. Without it, I was very effective at making my opponent miserable until they eventually won, which is not the way I want the games to end. I want them to be so miserable that they concede, and they were just miserable enough that they would keep going and keep making boards, and eventually I ran out of ways to clear them. I expect when you have more tools available to you, and certainly when you have Medivh available to you, that will at least allow you to be able to end the game with this, because there is no win con available to you in the Tavern Brawl. There's just nothing. You don't even have Deathwing to fall back on. But it, like, the games that we've played it, like in Theory Crafting, or even in that game, up until the point when I realized I wasn't winning because I had no way to, it felt really good. Like, you just heal up to full every turn if you want to. And it's very hard to get you down low enough that you're not healing back up to full. And then your opponent needs to be able to kill you from 30. Now, the one game that we played with this in Theory Crafting, it was against a Burn Mage. They had no problem with that because you can do 30 from hand in a Burn Mage. But not every deck is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Are we going to have enough clears to be able to do this? We'll see, because Repackage is going away, which is a big one. And Light Bomb is going out of core, but you still be able to use a lot of the healing to turn into damage. There's a lot of single target removal. I think there's something here. I feel more optimistic about a Control Priest than I have in literally years. And it's because of this card. So I think we'll see it. This is the first card that makes me not feel like we're just getting hand-me-downs from the older brother, which is Blood Death Knight, which is ironic because it's younger than Priest in Hearthstone, but that's neither here nor there.
My husband gets very frustrated because he's like, his younger sister just kind of has older sister energy and always kind of treats him that way. And I knew she was the younger sister, and then I met her for the first time, and I almost said something about younger brother referring to my husband, and then I caught myself and was like, nope. And I'm glad I caught myself, because he would have been so annoyed. And I told him later, no, you were right. She definitely does the big sister thing. He's like, I know. She's not older. I can sympathize. I'm a twin, and I do the big sister thing.
Yeah. I'm an only child, so I get none of this. So.
I still think, not in the Theory Crafting, people were running Quest and Imbue together. I don't think we need the Imbue. But I still think we might want to run Quest.
Yeah.
A, because it turns on Medivh's Triumph, and B, because it's additional inevitability eventually, even if we're not turboing it.
And that also is not available in the Tavern Brawl. So that's not even an option. I saw the Quest thing. I thought it was cute. And then I saw 1 mana deal 4 to the board. Like, okay, I guess. I reluctantly came around to it. I do think if you're playing this deck as a control deck, you really do want the hero power. The hero power is heal 6, which with the location is deal 6. Like, that's a fireball for 2 mana. That's still pretty good. So I don't know that you necessarily want to give that up for random nonsense from the Imbue just in the sake of trying to generate a little bit more value. I think you're better off playing to your deck strengths. But again, that's me being a purist. So what do I know?
Yeah, I would be more open to it, because I think that there will be enough things in the deck to take advantage of the reverse healing effect, particularly now that we know that the restore minion to full health will auto kill it.
Yeah,
for sure, rather than it having to be damaged already or halfway dead already. So I feel like you could just be using that with spells and not be as concerned about doing it on your hero power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you have to run a lot of bad cards in order to be able to get the imbue up enough. I mean, you could there's the good one that
I am saying just run 2 of the reduce attack.
Yeah, those are fine,
and no other imbues.
Yeah. If you're doing that, that's the way you should do it. You should not be running the 4/4 Divine Shield Taunt. You should not be running maybe you run that. You certainly should not be running the 2/3 or like the 3/1 Lifesteal. Like you should really just be running the one that nukes the opponent's minions attack, because that's a good defensive tool in general. But yeah, you don't need to go all in on imbue if you're doing that, for sure.
Do we think if we have so much healing, are we living long enough to do the 9 mana the rest of the game your cards cost 1? With like Tyrande and stuff?
Maybe.
Or just with Medivh?
I think we're losing Champions of Azeroth, right?
Yeah, I think we are. We won't be able to do that.
I wouldn't be concerned about losing that.
Well, I mean, that was the win con, right? Is that you would get Antonidas.
Right. I think there won't be as immediate things. That was always chance anyway. I feel like there will be things that will benefit from your stuff costing 1.
Yeah.
But.
And if we're living this long.
Yeah. I feel like when you're already running 3 10s with Medivh potentially.
Yeah, maybe it's a matter of like, the question is, what are you doing with that mana? And that's, I mean, sometimes the answer is just everything, and that's fine. But like, you can't even bank the cards that you're getting out of the imbue if you're going that way. Like, you still only get 1 per turn and it goes away at the end of the turn. So you don't get to bank a whole bunch of extra expensive stuff to do.
Tyrande stuff, maybe, but then you have to dedicate more card slots to it.
But I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's completely out of the question that we could live long enough to do that. I think what we might need to run like Ancient of Yore, both for card draw and just for armor, if the mage is going to be a thing, because dying from 30 is still going to be a problem that Death Knight doesn't have, because Death Knight gets max health, and we're not doing that. So like it's going to be 12 armor, but that 12 armor may make a difference. You're probably trying to run the 3 mana draw for discover from your deck, discover from the opponent's deck to try to hit Deathwing whenever you can, just to be able to get that armor.
Intertwined Fate.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I see what you're saying.
But I guess that's against Mage. That's not going to happen anyway, because they're not going to be running Deathwing. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I think this opens up opportunities when you can just heal that much in a turn. But it's going to be, how are we closing out the game? Medivh seems like the simplest route, because you get to double your healing and your damage with the location. But it also, like, it is a finite number of times that you can do that. So it is going to be a little bit of skill figuring out when the right time is to press the button on the location.
Yep, and you can't do it more than once in a turn unless you run Welcome Home.
Right.
Which you could. But
or if you
it's another card.
Have both locations out, both copies of location.
Right. That's true too. Which you might if you've gone that far. But anyway, we will report back as we attempt to build this, and other people attempt to build it. Luckily or unluckily, depending on your point of view, Control Priest is something that I think is popular enough that people will be trying to refine it. So at least there's a dedicated core of players like Wicked and like Tic Tac,
and Zetalot,
and Zetalot, who will like be trying it out. Last time, for cards we can't wait to play with, I picked Muradin. Edel picked Azure Queen Syndragosa. Still not looking like it's it. Very sad. And Wicked picked Time Thief for Fom.
Yeah. It was fun for a day.
It was fun for a day, yeah. So, and Muradin was surprising, because we all thought he was going to be completely insane, and it turned out he was just like, yeah, he's good.
He was fine. Yeah.
He's fine. He's not even the best thing you could do on 6.
Yeah, it's still like an auto include in majority of shamans, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. I think it'll probably still be there. And I mean,
it probably fits in the Herald.
If he's getting extra attack from the Herald, that's pretty good too. Yeah.
Still time. All right. Well, Wicked. What is the card that you are scared of?
So, I being a control player, I don't like sticky boards, especially when my beloved Shard of the Naru is not available to me. So, I've played against a lot of Death Knights over the past 24 hours, and a number of them, especially since the ban, have had Talanji's Last Stand. And this card is disgusting. It is a 5-mana double unholy spell. Give your minions Death Rattle, summon a random 4-cost minion. This is very awkward to clear. Like, even with access to Corpse Explosion, this is a challenge to get rid of, because 4-cost minions are no joke. This is expensive, but if your opponent ever was allowed to stick a board, they are going to put this on it, and the minions are just going to get very hard to clear, and the minions are going to get upgraded when you clear them, which is really the problem with this. Like Soul of the Forest, that's the one that makes the 2/2 treants, right? Like, they're 2/2s. Like, it's probably at worst a lateral move from whatever you're clearing. This is, they're hero powering, they're putting this on it, and they're getting a 4-drop out of it. Or they have like a 1/1, they have like a Mermy, and the Mermy's going to drop the other half of the Mermy and a 4-drop. And then you have to deal with that. And probably not on their turn, probably on your turn. So you have to have a solution for both clearing the little doofuses and the 4-drops that they leave behind. And if an aggressive Death Knight an unholy Death Knight is going to be a thing, I think this is probably going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, and the double unholy slots in with Chow Down, slots in with that rewind spell. That there's a lot of good go wide. I don't know if they will be triple unholy, right? Whether probably if you're already doing that stuff, you just go in for Grave Strength, like I would imagine.
But you have to treat them like they are, right?
Well, exactly.
That's the thing.
Like, what happens is, there's always those moments where you're just like, I guess I'm dead to Grave Strength, but there's nothing I can do. Sometimes they don't have it. Now it's like, well, sometimes they don't have it, but they do have Talanji's Last Stand, and now that's just impossible to clear. Yeah. And you're sort of stuck with this sticky board until they do find Grave Strength.
Right, exactly. It makes it easier for them to stick a board for Grave Strength, because often the problem for an Unholy DK would be that you just don't ever have a board last long enough to put Grave Strength on it if you're facing something really controlling. And if you manage to get this off, because you've stuck a board but maybe you don't quite have lethal with Grave Strength or you haven't found it, now you have a lot more time to find it. So this does seem strong. It'll probably get me to try it. There are some like single unholy blood things that might be worth a look, but...
Right, yeah. Making the 2 1/1s on turn 1 is very appealing, right? I don't know if that's going to be worth ditching Grave Strength, but there's a few things that might make you interested in either a Blood Rune or a Frost Rune, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. But it is going to become very important to pay attention to the runes that an aggressive Death Knight is playing early, because you're going to need to know if you need to worry about a Grave Strength or not, because that is just you still don't want to let the board live, but that does make a very big difference in terms of your calculus of like, can I live through this turn without clearing some of this? But sometimes it's not even going to be a choice, because it's like, well, I can clear the first wave, but I can't deal with the second wave. And the first wave is going to be smaller than the second wave. So I guess I'm just going to hope they don't have it, right? Because if you're going to have to be able to do that twice, and there just are not that many ways to be able to clear 2 boards in one turn early. There just aren't. Not without Shard of the Naru. Or
repackage.
Or well, even repackage is, I guess that's, you're not playing this on 5, so that would be something too, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's often a tendency to go, well, this is a 5-mana spell that doesn't kill the opponent and requires you to have a wide board, so why does it matter? And I think it's just like, it is good enough that even if it isn't the Grave Strength, obviously if you have the board that capitalizes on this and you have Grave Strength and Grave Strength kills them, well, then you do that thing. But there's going to be times where that's not the choice. And there's also going to be times where you don't have enough minions for a Grave Strength to be lethal, or you got 3 minions, right? Where it's not like a huge board, but it's pretty good if you're making those into 4-drops, right? Like, and I think those times are going to be worth it.
Yeah, and also like there's, I mean, sometimes you're going to get a Grave Chiller. I cleared the first part of a board and there was a cane behind one of them. Like there there are some scary 4-drops that are more scary as just as creatures than they would be than the thing that's in front of it. So like that's going to happen too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's the 7/7, right? Where they even get to skip out on the overload part. There's Farseer Woe, right? Who can be ridiculous if you have a spell to get the chain going, right? She fuels herself. I mean, you get to discover the spell each time, so it's really hard to whiff on Farseer Woe.
Yeah. Tankgineer is really annoying in a deck like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Yep. And yeah, you don't need to get this on a big wide board. Like 3 is probably plenty.
Yeah.
For this to be worth playing.
If you're getting 12 mana worth of stats for 5 mana. That's a pretty good deal. That's better than the Shaman spell, which is 12 mana worth of stats for 6 mana with Overload 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That one doesn't see play.
Yeah, it does. I played a bunch of it in the last 24 hours, but we'll see if for real if it does that.
I was thinking of a different one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking of like Pack the House and stuff.
Oh yeah,
not the new card.
No, the new card.
Yeah. So the new card is actually totally playable.
I mean, it's felt okay. Yeah, because you have the taunt that discounts itself by how many crystals you've overloaded. Because you have the 4 mana 7/7 that unlock your mana crystals when it dies. Like there's a bunch of things where you want to get a bigger overload, and you can afford to do it because it's so much mana worth of minions the turn that you play it, that you can kind of afford to take the next turn off if you have to. It's felt okay.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'll have to try it. All right. Edel, I almost picked this as card I'm scared. This is the card I'm actually scared of. I just had to pick a different one for mine. This is not even quite a card.
Yeah. But, it's worth mentioning. So, I said Soldier of Cho'Gall, and I actually am not positive that these will be running Cho'Gall, because you don't need Cho'Gall. You don't need to get to Cho'Gall. Like, it just... The fact that it is a thing that can eat Egg of Kelos is what's really important. It's a lot of instances of a thing that can eat the egg, slides right in with some of you don't need to turbo the way that the other one did, because you're kind of making boards. Warlock gets the most heralds because the location heralds twice on each one.
Yeah.
So they effectively have 2 more herald procs, and those get huge, right? Like once they've heralded 4 times, every time they nom something, it's a 12/12, right? It's a 4/4 +8/8. Who cares whether it's eating from your deck or not? They're just large, and I faced a couple of those in the pre-release brawl. Did manage to beat them on Blood, but that's because I think Blood's a little ridiculous in the pre-release brawl.
Same, but it was a struggle.
It's scary, and if they do run Cho'Gall, and there's always the chance, what are they going to eat? But they're going to have Egg of Kelos, right? And they're going to have Umbra to revive Egg of Kelos. And I don't think I could deal with that as a Blood Decay, because that's just a lot of 30s.
They can even just jam Dios on 7 and eat the egg, potentially, if they have the positioning right. Like if they have the location out, right?
Yeah.
The location, if their only things on board are the egg and the location, they can just slam Dios on 7 and get 2 20/20s if they want to, if it's at that point.
Right. And so we'll have to see what kind of mana they're messing around with, what kind of build, how fast it's going, whatever. But it has just seemed to me like a pretty scary prospect having to face down a bunch of 30/30s alongside the added stats of these soldiers being 12/12s, and they don't have to sacrifice as much because the boards along the way are bigger until they actually fully crack the egg and get those 30/30s. So, and there's still the 3/2 that gains the death rattles of things that died that turn.
Oh god, that isn't rotating. Oh god,
you know, that's a little trickier because you still have to do the like conflagrate it yourself or shadow bomb it yourself or whatever to, you know, get it to die a bunch of times in the turn that you play Archdruid. But
I mean, again, is it because you have a herald that just makes a thing that eats it?
Well, right, exactly. So you do the heralds early on, and you can save the spells for when you're doing Archdruid.
Yeah.
And you know, you get to draw a card for your trouble on the location.
The thing is that Archdruid gains the death rattles of things that have happened so far this turn, and the heralds don't trigger until the end of the turn. So the heralds don't help Archdruid.
Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, yeah.
Probably for the best.
Right.
But you do still have like conflagrate and shadow bomb.
Yeah. At least Eat the Imp is rotating, but yeah.
So very spooky.
Yeah. It's pretty good to be a warlock. Yeah. That's what happens when you sell your soul, I guess. But yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. So for the card that I'm scared of, I have two ways that I can frame this. It's a card that I'm afraid will be too good and get nerfed, and then I'll be sad because I'll be playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And also a card that if you face me on ladder, you should be scared for me to draw. And that is Wickerfang. I won't go into them too much because I already did a whole spiel on him at the start of the show. But Wickerfang, as a reminder, which I should have set up then, is the 6 mana 0/5 Colossal for Druid. After one of his legs gains stats, this gains, then Wickerfang gains them as well, and he has 4 1/3 legs that gain +1/+1 at the end of every turn. So he becomes a 4/9, and all of his legs become 2/4s. And they must clear it. And Druid has a lot of other ways to buff minions, and if you buff one of the legs with those, then he gets it also. So he can get incredibly insane. I gave one of his legs one of those like +1/+1 for everything on the board, and it was like a +6/+6 bonus or something. So that was pretty good. Even just Power of the Wild, or Flitterwing. If you have Flitterwing, if you stuck Flitterwing on 5, which is the elusive that gives +1/+1 to the whole board at the end. If you stuck at that and then you play Wickerfang, it's another +4/+4 to Wickerfang.
Yeah.
So he becomes like a 8/13. Yeah. I have a screenshot of that.
That's fine.
So what you're saying is that he's got legs and he knows how to use them.
Yes.
I've been holding on to that one for a week, by the way. So
anyway, that's my spiel. Wickerfang. It's pretty good. Do not craft anything right after the expansion launches. That's always our advice, but this does seem like a pretty safe thing to play. However, in general, if you can, and especially if you're dust limited, then careful what you craft. Because sometimes even things that seem completely insane turn out to be less so. So the cards that we were scared of last time, Wicked, you chose Flux Revenant, which was one of the self-damage shaman things.
That turned out to not be so much, but...
Not be so much, at least so far. Edel, you chose Lady Ajara. There was actually a deck that used Lady Ajara with the Location Druid to pretty intense effect. And then I chose Logosh and Warrior in general. Logosh less so, but Warrior in general is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So, okay. For card, you want to be good, but isn't. We talked a lot about this last week. So again, I'll be fairly quick on it. But Vironoth, I am open to being proven wrong on this one. But, so Vironoth again is the 6 mana 6/6 Battlecry. If the total cost of your starting minions was exactly 100, split 100 stats among minions in your deck. We talked about this. I think there are some decks that it might not be that hard to get to exactly 100 with things they mostly already run, so then you just throw them in. just because it could be nuts in some games. But I don't think we're building like a lot of Viranoth decks. Maybe I'm wrong. He is an elemental. There might be a way to tutor him at some point, like, but you do have to like find him, play him. He doesn't affect the board on the turn that you play him. There's you have to run a bunch of other minions, so that makes it hard to tutor him. Like, it's going to be difficult.
This is such a commander card, right? Like this is the kind of card that, like, if you had access to it all the time and you could just play it whenever you wanted to, it would be great, right? Because then you could build around it, and you would know that you'd be able to play this on 6. You could plan your deck around that, and then get your stats, and then you're off to the races. The fact that you have to draw this first kills this card. Because
that's what I mean about like, if we see it, it's only going to be because the deck is already close to 100 anyway.
Right. Yeah, because like 50% of the time, it is going to be in the bottom half of your deck. That's just math, right? And the lower that this is in your deck, like the minions get bigger, but there are fewer of them, and you really want this to be impactful as early as possible, because you'd rather have less of a buff and more of the things that are getting buffed than having just like 2 things at the end of the game that are ginormous when your opponent's probably been saving up some removal for them. It seems like a whole lot of work for the work to not pay off half the time.
Yeah. I think it's possible that there will be decks where you are like almost there and it's not much effort for you to get to the full 100, and that it ends up being like a high roll hit, right? Where, you know, sometimes it's there when you need it against a slower deck, and it gives you the extra value to go that final distance. But yeah, I largely do not expect much out of trying to make a deck specifically around it.
It's a fun challenge, though. I think it's a really cool card for them to have printed.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Edel, what did you pick? I think I agree with this as well, for card you want to be good but isn't.
So I picked Chromatus, not sure how it's said, but this is the Paladin Colossus, and it feels like it should be this is just a utility, solid, somewhat stabilizing legendary that you drop on 8, and it can kind of go in whatever Paladin deck. You don't have to build something specifically for it. Except it does not save your life. Because when you really get down to it, all they have to do, like if you're behind, all they have to do is go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to trade into the taunt one, and now Chromatus loses taunt. And I'm going to use a spell or trade into the lifesteal one, and now Chromatus has lost lifesteal. And I mean, first off, they can just kill the 2/3 taunt and kill you, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
very,
very
very
more
easy.
likely scenario. Yeah,
but even if they don't get the full distance, right? Then as long as they clear the lifesteal one away, they don't have to worry about dying on the backswing either.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were trying to be clever and cute about the design of this card and make it like a puzzle, but it's like, it's just a shitty puzzle. It's not a puzzle, right? It is just like, oh, you're just dead. I honestly, I don't know that this would make it playable, but I think it would be more interesting. I think it would be better if it was like something more complex, where it's like, oh, killing the taunt gets rid of I don't even know what I would want it to lose first.
Oh god,
like,
that my head hurts. Just not even. You haven't even finished the sentence, and my head hurts.
Yeah, killing the taunt gets rid of elusive. Killing the elusive gets rid of the divine shield. Killing the divine shield gets rid of the lifesteal. Something like that, right? So that they have to figure out this mass and system where it's like, each one has a different thing that protects a different attribute. But as it stands, them being parallel, it's like, well, the taunt is very exposed for it to no longer have taunt and isn't protecting anything. Then the lifesteal is similarly exposed to being cleared and it not having lifesteal. I think really it's too cute, right? The appendages should just also have the things and not clear the stuff away, right? If we were going to want this to be a playable, strong 8 that can protect you. Now, I think it still has a place if you're like, empty board, I play Chromatus. That's a good play. But cannot do anything from behind on board.
You'll get this, you'll get this generated sometimes, I guess. Right? Like, I want to say I got this from Alakir at one point, and that's fine. So if you're paying full price for this, you want it to actually be able to protect you and not be a speed bump. And this is a speed bump. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Maybe it heals you for 2 and soaks 2 attacks. So it's like a really crappy Bulwark of Azzinoth. But Bulwark of Azzinoth costs 3 and not 8.
Yeah. Bulwark of Azzinoth is a crazy card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it staying in core? It's like, it's not like a crucial always include in the Control Warrior, but like if there's
it's real good.
Big stuff, it's very good. Yeah.
It looks like it's staying because it doesn't say it's going out.
Okay.
All right.
Well.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yep. All right. I saved that image on my downloads folder, so because I keep having to refer to it. All right. Wicked, I think your choice was a little controversial among the hosts.
Yeah.
What is the card that you want to be good but isn't?
I don't believe in Schism. So this is the 4-mana Shatter card for Priest. It's give a friendly minion +2/+3 and elusive, summon a copy of it. So it splits into the 2 halves that are both 4 mana, which are give a friendly minion +2/+3 and elusive for 1 half, and then summon a copy of a minion for another. Yeah, summoning a copy of a minion is a powerful effect, and you don't need to reassemble the halves in order for this to be playable. I will acknowledge that. Like, giving a copy on its own, giving +2 and 2, but giving +2/+3 and elusive is not really something we're paying 4 mana for, typically. It's sometimes
it's just the
maybe,
copy.
But it's fine. But it's the copy. But it's going to be, what are we copying? And maybe that will get answered sometime over the next 2 years. Like, this will be something that's available. I would think by that point we'd be more likely to just try to make a lease work, if that's what we're doing, than trying to run this. I mean, yeah, this is more guaranteed, but also in those types of decks, like, hand space is sometimes a problem. And having 2 cards that cost 4 in your hand that you need to deal with, one of which you don't want to play when you're playing it, the other one is a suboptimal buff. I mean, it's not a bad buff, but it's not a great buff. Like, 4 mana is a real cost. Like, I even felt this when I was playing Cleansing Cleric, and finding a turn to play a 4 mana 4/3 is a real cost. And having to, in what's presumably a combo deck, spend 4 mana with a minion on board just to get a card out of your hand can be a real cost also. And I don't know if that's going to balance this out some. But there's a lot going on here, and like, summon a copy of a minion is a scary sentence. Especially this is also in a meta where we're introducing Colossals, and anything that copies them is scary by default. But also, you're summoning a copy of the Black Blood, which is not it's not bad, but that's not what you want to be doing. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a combo meta. There are reasons that you might want to do this, but 4 mana is real expensive to have to do that anyway.
This is what I'm going to try to build with it. My idea of the slow, like, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be something that works out to building, if there's just like not enough shadow, but the like, we complete the quest eventually.
Yeah.
And then we schism the quest reward. That's my idea for it.
9 mana. Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole point is we're living forever with Cleansing Cleric while we're waiting to do this.
Yeah. I mean,
not that we're like not the way that Quest Priest was existing in the last expansion. I don't know if that's going to work, but that's what I'm going to try.
yeah. I mean, I think the thing is that it's also that's 2 fewer cards that are helping you live forever. That's the flip side of it, right? Is that this is really not doing much for you up until the point where you're winning, and that kind of a deck, it needs to find Cleansing Cleric early, and I think you're going to be dedicating more cards to that, because that deck, when you don't have Cleansing Cleric, it is a sitting duck. It is. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like a lot of those healing effects outside of like Greater Healing Potion are just when you're facing down an army of angry zombies and you don't have a Cleansing Cleric helping you out. If like a lot of those cards feel real bad, so I'm looking at like running like Ancient of Yore, or even running like the Murloc who draws possibly like anything. Like Mend is fine because Mend at least draws you a card even if you're not using it for its intended purpose. But this is, it's I don't know. It feels rough to me. That's just my opinion, my feeling. And I think I tried to play it once and it was just kind of like, okay. I mean, you're putting this in a deck where you're going to abuse it. I acknowledge that. I just 4 mana to copy something for a win con is a lot if you're not able to discount it.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be like a very niche sort of thing, but potentially quite potent in that niche.
Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe something aggressive where you're willing to throw the elusive +2/+3 buff on an important, you know, 3-drop, or rather, and you have something that you're interested in copying later on, right? Or it's just like, hey, there's hardly any copy effects. You know, you can't run Elise, but there's some kind of priest minion that you want to combo with.
Yeah. And I think it's worth saying, like, I'm assuming in the kinds of decks that are going to want to run this, which are not aggressive priests for the most part, we're assuming this is never getting reassembled because it's probably not going to. If you're running it in some sort of a combo deck, you're probably going to have some sort of a combo piece somewhere in your hand that's going to make it hard to get the right side over to the left side. Like, it's hard in priest in general that's not really aggressive to empty your hand, and it's going to be even more so in the decks that are going to want to run this.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, if you draw it early, you might, but if you draw it late, then no way. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, with other Shatter cards, I've been impressed that they were not as awkward as I had thought that they might be, and that I think a lot of people had thought that they might be. Like, I could just say, like, in terms of underrated when we get there, just like Shatter as a mechanic. But Schism is a little harder to do. But like in the Druid, the Shatter card, I always get to it. It's when it still feels relevant. Supply Run, still good.
Yeah, but those are classes that are built to be able. They have archetypes where you can easily empty your hand. Like Token Druid's going to dump its hand. Hunter explicitly has an archetype that is geared around emptying its hand, so you can do that. Priest does not have that, and this doesn't fit into the decks that would have that. Not really.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Certainly, it'll be pretty horrifying for Rogue to pull. So you know.
Oh yeah, it's going to be gross. Yep.
And they have a spell that directly pulls a Shatter card assembled. So, you know, get excited for that.
Well, for last time card that you want to be good but isn't, I think I called it. Now, this wasn't... So we had all... I picked Devious Coyote. Everybody thought Devious Coyote was going to be insane, including me, and then it wasn't in Theory Crafting, and this was one case where Theory Crafting was correct. The card's not bad, but it turned out to be... Oh, it is actually a lot more awkward to get it out than we thought it would be. So it might be worth a try in the like 1-drop Hunter, especially because like if you happen to get it to exactly 1 and you have like Neri out and then you double its stats, that's hilarious. And you always have like a really wide board in that deck, so I might give it a try there. And it is a beast, but we thought it would be in every aggro deck, and it really wasn't. Edelweiss, you picked Garona Half-Orc, and I think you said at the time Kingslayers is good, Garona is not, and I think that's kind of...
Even Kingslayers is not really bearing out. I think that's Like some of the stats are saying that it's better to just not run it.
It is a very serious risk reward or a double-edged sword, I suppose, because if you have very specific legendaries that you want to hit, you can reliably hit those. Particularly, now this was in the context of having access to the draw weapon, right? The raiding party. And we're not even going to have raiding party, so it feels even less good then. Because you could raiding party, you get your Kingslayer, and you can targeted draw your legendaries, and it's like maybe you've got 2 legendaries that you're trying to hit, and Garona is sort of the joker that you don't really want to hit. But sometimes you just Garona on curve and you nail them. The thing is, pretty much everyone runs some legendaries, and you are now drawing them for them.
At least Elise.
I get that it's supposed to draw a lane, but that doesn't happen very often. And yeah, what ends up happening is you pull their Elise, you pull their, whatever it is they're looking for, their Muradin, right? There's so many instances. Like I remember in particular, it was pretty terrible against Shamans because they have a lot of specific legendaries they're looking for, like Hagatha, like Muradin. And so I would just sit on the dagger, not swinging until I actually wanted to play the thing that I was going to pull, because it's really rough. Yeah, and someone's putting in chat, Concede is putting in chat, Wickerfang, right? That Druid deck might have no legendaries besides Wickerfang, and you're just finding it for them. So yeah, it feels like very, very risky. Yeah. And if specifically finding your legendaries is good enough, then maybe that's fine. If you are now, I still think there's hope for a certain case that we haven't seen bear fruit yet. If there is a serious aggro deck for Rogue, right, that is just like Garona's the top of the curve, maybe Garona and Gen, because we've got the Gen upgrading hero power, then I could see that working, right? Because that's I don't care that I'm finding your legendaries. Maybe I hit lane and that helps me kill you. I'm super low to the ground. I'm finding my Gen. I mean, maybe that's what it is. You're finding your Gen and getting that upgraded dagger, so you can just keep pumping out damage with stealth minions and eviscerate and whatever. Maybe that's what it is. But we haven't had the cards or meta to suit that yet. So
yeah. And it also doesn't help that the proliferation of Elise was just a whole bunch of legendaries at the top end.
And I do think that will be reduced.
Yeah, that'll be less. Because like a lot of the ones at the top end, you had you would have Ceaseless Expanse, you would have Ziliax, you would have you'd have Elise herself, you'd have just like a whole bunch of legendaries filling out the top end of the curve, and you'd be a lot less likely to hit lane. So
all right, and Wicked, you had said card you want to be good, but isn't Broxigar?
At the time,
turns out.
Okay, so what I said at the time was that people are going to play it, and it will enable those decks, but you are very rarely going to see Broxigar actually come out. And for the main expansion, that was correct. What happened was that we got a lot more draw in the mini set, and then we started seeing the Turbo Broxigar. And even then, you needed pandas to enable that. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what Broxigar does when there are not pandas anymore, because it was really turbo drawing to Broxigar with Blob of Tar, which is really the star of that deck, honestly. I mean, not the turbo draw one, but the other one. It's just Blob of Tar, pick your win condition at the end of the day. But it's really because of Blob of Tar getting nerfed so that you're not going to have a million Blobs of Tar, and with pandas getting pulled out of core, it'll be interesting to see if that continues to be a card that gets run. But I was right at the time that you were not going to see Broxigar actually ending games very often. It wasn't until the mini set that started to happen. So I'm not as crazy as I seem.
No.
Because it does seem like a wild pick in retrospect, but it really was not as wild as it seemed like at the time.
Yes, you need the context. All right.
Yeah.
Cards that we think are underrated. Wicked, what did you choose for this?
So I just haven't felt like I've seen a lot of people talking about Shaman in general. So I had a choice of a couple of cards from the Shaman set, and I think Stormbinder. Yeah, it's a 4-mana 7/7, but that's kind of a meme. But this is not a meme. It's a 4-mana 7/7 that overloads you 3, but it also unlocks your overloaded mana crystals when it dies, and it dies pretty often. The thing that it does that's not clear from this is that it unlocks all of your overloaded mana crystals. So you can spam a bunch of different overload on that turn, and it will clear all of it when it dies. So that's one thing. And sometimes it just sits there, and you're also running the Heralds that buff the attack, which you very likely have gotten one of those to stick by turn 4. So now this is like a 9/7. And that just hits like a truck if it doesn't get cleared. So either your opponent clears it and then they unlock your next turn, or they don't clear it, you have 2 mana, you play one of the Heralds next to it, right? And then you still get to hit them for 9. So it's been a pretty big deal in that deck. And it's it almost seems kind of unassuming because it's just a vanilla minion, really. I mean, it's a big minion, but we've had 4-mana 7/7s before. But the Death Rattle is actually relevant. And the fact that it's overload 3 also helps you with the taunt that gets cheaper the more that you've overloaded. Again, that's another thing that happens. Sometimes you can play this late with another big overload card, and then it just dies, or you trade it off, and then you unlock and you keep going. It's kind of not the thing that you're going to look at that killed you. You're probably going to be looking at some of the stuff from Alakir killing you, or just 4/4 that gets immune and Wind Fury if you've comboed it. That's from the last mini set. But this is a pretty big part of that deck, and it's a lot of pressure early, especially with the attack buffs.
Yeah, I sort of wasn't thinking about the fact that, like, oh yeah, if you then continue overloading, like whenever they kill it, if you're overloaded, it's going to unlock your crystals. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And 7/7 is a big thing to leave alive. Yeah. All right. Edel, what do you think is underrated?
So I went with Volcanos here, and I like a lot of people have talked shit about this card, and I largely agreed with them until I sort of saw it played within the context of this burn mage. And it changed my mind a little bit. I think you're gonna have to find the right moment to play it, for sure. But the fact that you get discounted fire spells, I think is a pretty big deal. Because you get like 2 when you play it, for sure. And then as long as the appendages die from damage, you're going to get 2 more. So it's 4 fire spells that are discounted by 3. There's some pretty good fire spells in there, particularly if you get mage ones, right? Like there's the one where you discard 1 and it hits them twice. And there's the new one that does 2 damage to a target and then 1 damage to a minion. And so I think that there's a very real possibility of, like, you just get a bunch of cheap fire spells and this is how you kill them. Like,
yeah, having a little bit of extra just reach, I think, is really valuable for that deck. So
it is worth noting these are random fire spells. They are not just mage fire spells. So there are a number. There's things like Purifying Breath, which is the new priest one that deals 5 damage and heals the opponent for 5. You're gonna get some of those too, or like Torch from Warrior. Like a Warrior got a lot of fire spells in the set. Now, there's enough ones that do damage that's not going to ruin your day, but so it's not completely. But also some of that's removal, right? Like there's other things that those things can do, like Flight of the Firehawk is probably fine for free. That's probably okay in this deck. Because you're probably running the 2/1 that gives you an arcane missiles when it dies. That's an elemental. You probably have some other stuff that like little utility creatures that are different types that you can draw also. You could also might just get Fire Breath, which deals 4 damage and gives your elementals +1/+1, which lets all the stuff attack for more. If it lived, that's pretty good too. And also just like, hey, it's also doing 2 damage to your opponent's board at the same time, which is not nothing.
And it's a 4/8, right? Like it's, Supernova was not a minion in addition, right? Like there was, like having a body attached, even if it's not a huge one, is worth something. And something that affects the board while it's played at the same time as well. So, well, the one that I chose was Earthen Drake. So Earthen Drake is a new neutral card, a 5-mana 4/4 elemental dragon that says at the end of your turn, deal 4 damage to the enemy hero. This is a lot of damage in that end of turn deck. Like, and it's just another thing they have to clear. Minimum of 4 damage, but like it could easily go up if you pair it with other stuff. And that deck has ways to protect things. I might be biased because this is the only way that I lost that deck where my opponent had the thing that makes all my minions have taunt and I had endless minions. But she was able to get over the top with Earthen Drake. So I am a little biased, but I think it's definitely worth consideration when you're trying to make that package of end of turn cards, where I feel like it might have been some of the first things that people exclude from that, because there are actually too many end of turn cards to just throw all of them in. But I wouldn't be surprised if this makes the cut.
Yeah, it's and maybe it's like a one of, I don't know, but the fact that you can surprise people with 16 burst if you've got the weapon and the doubling end of turns, I think is certainly a point in its favor, because you don't really expect that kind of burst out of Paladin.
Right. Just having a little, that could be useful in the mirror, right? Because I could see a situation where the Paladins in a mirror just have taunts with divine shields and are just bashing divine shields into each other. And being able to be the one who goes over the top of that would be valuable.
Yeah. And there's also just stuff that gives you dragons sometimes, and you're just going to get this. Not necessarily out of the 1-drop, because that only gives you dragons that cost 3 or less, but there are other things that will just sometimes give you dragons, and sometimes when life gives you dragons, you make Dragonade,
Yep, it's an elemental and a dragon, and that could absolutely be relevant. And some of what they do with the neutrals and what they do with the core set is just like fill out discover pools, and random generation pools.
Yeah.
But I think this has a shot to be just played as well. Mm-hmm. So last time, for cards we think are underrated, Wicked, you chose Manifested Timeways, which is the aura, deal damage to everything. That took a second to see play in that deck, but it absolutely does now, and it's good.
It also took some buffs, but yeah, we got there.
Edel, you chose Hourglass Attendant. Hourglass Attendant hasn't been good, but I bet it will be soon in that Paladin deck. That is the 4-mana 2/4 Divine Shield. At the end of turn, give +1/+1 to minions in your hand. Definitely seems like it goes in that deck. And then I chose Chronogar / Shreds of Time, and I'm surprised that the Shreds of Time, they've been like on the edge, but there's still time potentially for them. Chronogar probably not, though. All right. For card that you just wanted to talk about, I just had a really quick note about Kalik. Kalik is the 4-mana 4/4, or Archmage Kalik, technically. 4-mana 4/4 mage legendary. Battlecry, give all spells in your hand and deck spell damage +1. If you play Kalik, while the Shatter card for mage is still separate, he will buff both halves, and then when they come together, they will have like double buff.
Absolutely working as intended. Love to see it.
And that will even happen apparently if he is the last card that you play that in between them, this person said. So
yeah.
When you play him, they're different.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Calic is gonna feel very, very good to play.
The fact that he hits your, I mean, they really learned from that Arcane Hunter legendary that they originally just hit spells in deck and then they buffed it to hand in deck and then suddenly it was playable. Like, it really helps a lot when it's hand and deck because then you can have some immediate effect. And just spell damage +1 blanket, like, is really strong.
Yeah. Also, yet another reason that I'm glad Shadow Step is gone, because you know that Rogue would find this off of Deja Vu on turn 1 and then step it 3 times.
I don't even know if that would be that good for Rogue right now. But...
I mean,
it's the principle for Wicked.
Yeah. You know, a 4 or 5 mana backstab would be pretty decent,
I guess.
Yeah.
That was all I had to say about him. He's good. Yep. That's another deck that I'm excited to play. Edelweiss, you picked a card that I don't think we've really talked about because we didn't really know how he worked.
Yeah, so I took Victor Nefarious here. And Victor Nefarious is a 4-mana, 4/4 undead, 1 unholy rune that says, Battlecry, craft a custom undead dragon. If you're holding a dragon, reduce the creation's cost by 3. Which, let me just state, is a substantial amount to reduce by.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So you first see dragons that cost 5 or less, and then you see undead that cost 5 or less. And within that pool, of course, are the doubling dragons. There's the taunt one that doubles its health, and there's the rush one that doubles its attack. Within the undead pool, there is the 8/7. That you don't draw cards at the start of your turn, but it's a 4-mana 8/7 undead. Chrono Chiller or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's big. You can get a 13/20 taunt if you get with the doubling health thing. Or, you know, a 26 something rush. Yeah, it's pretty spooky and reduced by 3, right, for playing it. Now it's important to remember that if you somehow generate or get this in an Onyxia deck, right, if it's your 4 cost, be careful. You don't want to make something that costs 9 because then you might. Yep, I did that too. Then you might fail to resurrect Onyxia. So don't do that. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Can confirm.
Yeah. And your buddy Earthen Drake is also a dragon that costs 5 or less, just saying.
That is true. Yeah. I don't know in Death Knight if you care as much, but
there are some undead that have lifesteal, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not thinking of any right now, but maybe there aren't, but
at any rate, it's very versatile. It's only 1 unholy rune. Would not be surprised if we see a bunch more of that. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where you can just kind of be like, I can run this. And I do think the discount is important in making it like good, but not essential for it being playable. And there's lots of interesting stuff that you could pick.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, the one thing that would make you really super care about getting Earthen Drake is Nerubian Swarmguard, where you summon 2 copies of it.
That is true. I had not considered Nerubian Swarmguard, but I'm sure that will be spooky as well. I mean, actually, Swarmguard is probably just the nuts with anything that you're going to pick on the front end.
Yeah, honestly, anything.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if it was excluded from the pool. I haven't played enough Nefarious to know, but that seems spooky.
I guess Reanimated Pterodax is probably also in the pool, and that would be pretty good because then you would just need the corpses to be able to play it, but then you're giving Russian lifesteal to whatever, and that if that's on an Earthen Drake, that's also doing 4 damage to their face, which is giving you 4 damage lifesteal on top of 8 attack rush.
there's going to be a lot of interesting spooky options, and I think
Yeah.
that it's one that like we have to wait and see what kind of decks it fits into.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Chromatic Broodmother also I think it will be in both pools, right? Because it's an undead dragon. So that's the 4-mana 2/5 rush whenever it attacks, refresh mana crystals equal to its attack.
Yeah, combo, that's pretty good because it'll
Yeah.
refresh quite a bit potentially, depending on the attack of the other half. Yeah, it'll be fun to play because it'll be a little different every time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
In whatever deck it goes into.
Yeah. I've gotten a fair number of those out of Alakir. And also Onyxia, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten a fair number of them from Alakir too, because sometimes Alakir is just smaller, and yeah, it's pretty good. You do have to be careful in the Onyxia deck that you're not making a 9-drop, but other than that, yeah.
All right. Well, Wicked, what was the card that you just wanted to talk about?
Well, speaking of gifts that Alakir gives you, Morchok is a card that I don't know if we ever put it in a deck. It's a 10 mana 10/10 battle cry, draw a card, reduces cost by 10, repeat this with excess cost reduction. But when you have a maxed out Alakir, you get this offered quite a bit. There are not that many 10 drops. I mean, certainly in the pre-release pool, there are not a ton of 10 drops. And even in the main set, there's not going to be a whole lot of them. I mean, Runaway Blackwing, Fyrakk will still be around, and Briarspawn Drake. I guess you'll have Tortola. I don't know if you can get Time Thief. You can't get Time Thief for a Farmer, or maybe you can get Agamagon, but there's like maybe 6 or 7, I think, if I'm counting right, maybe 8. So you're gonna have a pretty good chance because Alakir gives you 2 minions that cost 1, and Morchok is one of them. And when you get a 1-cost Morchok off of Alakir, it is a bonanza because it is almost always draw 3. I mean, it depends a little bit on what your curve is set up as, but it's generally minimum draw 2, usually draw 3, and so the first 2 cards are free. And on an Alakir turn where you've already spent 9 mana at this point, right, and you're not usually running Ysera, having 2 other things to do for free is pretty good. So, like I said, I don't know if we ever really want to pay 10 mana for it. I could maybe see a world just because you're getting 2 free cards on top of it, but you would not necessarily know what those cards are, especially since Overplanner's rotating. So you can't even really set up the top of your deck. But it's been really good. A lot of cards are good when they cost 10 and you get them for 1, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I found the pool here. There are 10 options, and I suppose he probably can't. There are 10 options, like 10 cost minions that'll be in the format. So that means you have a 20% chance, right, 2 in 10, of getting any particular one. Yes, the probability does work out that way, even if you do it the fancy way. I just had a long conversation about this in the Discord. And it might even really be 9, because I don't know that Time Thief Rafam is generatable.
It's not. You can't generate a Fabled. Yeah, so it's 9. Well, if you're counting Medivh, that's also Fabled. Yeah, that's also Fabled.
That's also Fabled. Okay, so there are 8 possible cards that you can get. So you have a 25% chance, 1 in 4, of getting any particular card, which is not bad. And all of them are insane. Morchok, Fyrakk probably is one of the less good hits. Agamagan, Omen, Tortola, Cenarius, Briarspawn Drake, Runaway Blackwing, which is probably the worst one. But you're getting 2. So yeah, you're gonna hit Morchok relatively frequently. I wouldn't be surprised if they basically put him in for Alakir, right?
Yeah. It is also, I think, it's a lot of discount, right? I feel like there's a chance that there will be something at some point that runs this on purpose.
Yeah,
if there's a Viranoth deck, it runs this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
In Shaman, yeah. All right. Well, last time for card we just wanted to talk about, we may not remember what we wanted to say about them. I said Husk Eternal Reaper, I think, again, because I had some sort of rules clarification to add.
Yeah, you can kill them the turn that they resurrect.
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
the big thing.
The big thing. Otherwise, you had said mend the timeline just to talk about like those holy spells might be kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it's potentially a lot of healing. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wicked, you had said cease to exist. We had a conversation about whether that was good or not. I think there's still time for that to have its time in the sun.
Yeah. It's probably fine. I mean, again, anything that silences and kills is probably at least worth considering, especially in a smaller card pool. But again, I've been Charlie Brown with the football for 2 years now, so we will see.
All right, that is all our superlatives.
Well, we have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website at Concede.com. You can also find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show at patreon.com/CoinConcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at CoinConcede. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@CoinConcede. And if you'd like some CC swag, head on over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Actually, coin-concede-shop.fourthwall.com. Link in the show notes.
All right, Coin Concedes.
Well, I will coin concede to Napoleon Dynamite, who I apparently got in my way while I was doing a tavern brawl today. So I apologize for that. He said I won. I don't think that their gamer tag is the same as their Twitch name, because I was going through my replays and I didn't see anyone that looked like that. But that's also a longer name that would get truncated in a gamer tag. But GG anyway, and I apologize for doing horrible things to you, which I'm sure is what I was doing because I was playing that deck. So
Yeah, I sent a meme of like Frodo when he looks extremely betrayed to Wicked when he posted the screenshot of stuff that he was doing with
I
the
don't
blood decay.
understand why you felt betrayed, because this is just what I do. I don't like this is like the scorpion and the frog is what this is. This is not like being betrayed by Mordor. Like
That is true. That is true. I will coin concede to our listener series winner, who was Joltsy. So congratulations. I think Joltsy is actually a repeat winner, although we've yet to have a sort of repeat in a row winner. But Joltsy won back in Sunken City, according to my pinned list of winners. So congrats. It's always a stacked lineup in the tournament and shows a lot of piloting and deck building skill. So we will, as usual, we tend to have listener series in the second half of each expansion. So, and they're always a good time. So definitely keep an eye out as we get around the mini set for our next listener series.
Well, I coin concede to. I'm gonna coin concede to whichever blood decay. I didn't keep track of the username, but the blood decay I ran into in the tavern brawl, who showed me the way of resurrecting Onyxia, and I've been enjoying it since. That was a oh my goodness, this is way better than I thought sort of moment. And I hadn't even thought about that for like once it hits the regular ladder, and I think it'll still be worth doing then. So yes, coin concede to that player. Thank you. And like I said, I've come close. I've gotten a 6-2 or 2, but I don't think I've failed to get a 6-win run with the blood decay in the tavern brawl. And I think partially thanks to that.
all right.
I cannot say the same.
Well, that's going to do it for us for this week. So until next time, keep calm, and we'll talk to you in the year of the scarab. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
All life must end. I yield for now. I concede. Well fought. I concede.
You win this one.
The victory is yours.
You have bested me.
I give up.
You win this one, friend.